What's going on, guys? I'm doing an update on BTC and the longer term cycles. And we talked a little bit about in our chat room today on we've been really patient, haven't played anything on the long side in forever. And today, you'll see here in a second when we talk about the monthly cycle, I think January might be the only next real benchmark as far as whether or not we're actually going to be able to maybe see any type of momentum shift. But I want to talk about Cardano and how I'm going to play a longer term long. I haven't wanted to buy anything for forever, like I just said, and we've been on the short side of futures. And I'm still have a course short. I think we could maybe even see, we thought we could get a lower low. That's what we got today. And there's no real reason why we can't go to 2100 or 2000. So it's not really about picking a bottom. It's about just staying with what is. And what is right now is you're in a long-term downtrend. That was confirmed when we broke through 6,000. So we were been short here. But Cardano is obviously a name that we think is going to be around for the next phase, and they're going to last. And if they don't go to zero and the project doesn't disappear, then there's a you'll see here in a second, the area and the distance on the chart is not that far to zero. So yes, you can lose 100% of your money from 2 cents or whatever it is, 2.5 cents to zero. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taking a fixed amount that you wanted to have invested. So if Cardano was in your portfolio at 18,000 BTC when Cardano was trading on its highs, why would you not want to have an allocation when it's 2 cents? I mean, you can buy a lot more for the long term down here. You just have to have that longer term horizon. So if you want to trade and you want to have your capital deployed in that fashion, which is probably the right thing to do, you want to be in majority cash now and just let the market keep making lower lows, and your purchasing power is rising. You can buy more of the coin you want. You don't have to do anything. If the dollar holds its value, this is something we've always talked about. There's a reason why you want to be in cash and you don't just want to, why BTC and Bitcoin is not currency, because we're not pricing things in Bitcoin. Your value or the purchasing power of your dollars rises when you're in a bear market and something that assets are falling. So if we look at these digital assets that are cratering, if you're holding on to dollars, your purchasing power is increasing. And what does that mean? That means you can buy twice, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times the amount of coin on some of these names as you could when they were on the high. So at the top of the cycle, it's completely different when you have momentum. Now you're at the bottom. It's a slower accumulation process, and we haven't been accumulating at all. This is the first video I've made where I've talked about wanting to actually put some capital behind a couple names, and I want to start with Cardano. So let's look at the cycle real quick first. I did a video, I think, last week talking about I don't really see any major turning point until January. We made another lower high here on the faster wave. That was December 2nd. And then we do have a turning point coming up here on Monday. So today's the 14th. Yeah, Monday. We'll see. Maybe that coincides with some sort of bottoming, like a bottoming tail, a bullish engulfing. But so far, we've just been riding this 8, even on the daily. And when I do want to point out on the monthly, so in Fibonacci, or when you start to understand cycles, that chart's worthless. After you get past the 8 and 9 count, 13 is the next big number. So 13 months down from the high puts us into January as well. Now the monthly chart is still hanging out at the bands that we talked about. This is one of the longest monthly cycles that probably Bitcoin has had. It was hanging out high within the range for a long time, and we kind of talked about what's that going to look like if and when this corrects. And now we know. So we still even have not even had a stochastic cross on the monthly. I don't see that changing until the end of the year. So let's just talk Cardano. So what I want to do, we're still short futures. I think there's a chance to test the 2,000 handle. And so whether it's 2,000, whether it's 1,000, I'm going to slowly work into Cardano in probably 5 lots from here, 5 entries. And so I'll document this over time here as we go. And it's just about working a position. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to pick the low, and it doesn't mean the market's going to rip back up. We could go sideways for 2-3 years. It's going to be where I know my floor is, and I know the amount of shares or coin I can pick up with Cardano being as cheap as it is. There's going to be volatility at some point. That we know. I mean, volatility clusters like turbulence. It comes out of nowhere. It's something that we really don't even understand that much in physics. And volatility is very similar. So at some point you're going to get these bounces, and there's going to be plenty of 20-30% swings along the bottoming process. So bottoming is a process, it's not a point. And so here we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months from what we call, this is actually a BCI in our model. My traders know what that means. And it is kind of marking the middle of the move. We don't have a stochastic yet. The weekly, okay, this weekly cycle has been pretty good. So against Tether, I mean, I know some of you guys don't want to use Tether anymore. It has the most data, so it's been around. And it takes out the fluctuations in BTC on the chart. But we can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 count into the low, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 back down. And this is the rhythm or the ebb and flow that's been pretty consistent as far as, you know, we can easily cycle back down here to some of these levels. That kind of puts you into into January before it turns back up. So I just eyeballing this in terms of time and distance. Here's 0. All right, I think you are going to start to see some sort of bouncing along the bottom here. A little bit easier to see on the daily. We're getting closer to, I mean, this week, we talked about, this is the first week where I want to put I'll put something to work. I might even just buy a lot here this evening or tomorrow. But again, there's no rush when we're in a downtrend. But what this will kind of look like, so here we have December into the January. All right, here's 2 cents, 1 cent, and then the buck, as we call it in the bond world. And the way to work the contrarian play when you want to add and accumulate is if I start here and then a couple weeks go by, I do another lot, a couple weeks go by and do another lot. We may have ebb and flow like this. This is what I'm saying for months, right, before you finally turn the corner. But what I want to do is, let's just say you have 10 grand you want to put to work. I'm just going to be something like 1,000 here, maybe another 1,000 here, another 1,000 here. And between 1 cent and the buck, there'll be opportunities to where maybe I put a 2 lot on or a 3 lot on. You get a bounce. All right, I'm going to take those off. So if I accumulate 1, 1, 1, and then I hit it heavier with a 2 lot, now I'm a total of 5. Maybe I come out of 2 on the bounce. Because to think that you're just going to V-bottom and be up, up, and away in a straight line is pretty foolish. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. So what we want to do is we have an add and reduce approach where it's I'm adding, I'm taking some off, I'm adding, I'm taking some off. And this is how you work around a core position. A professional trades around a core position. All right? I might be long a yard, a billion worth of 10-year notes. I'm not just sitting and holding. When the market rallies, I take I'll take profits on a quarter or a third. It comes back down and I accumulate more. So you work your average, and by adding and reducing, you keep that average low, you take off, you take some profits. You buy it back on the dip. And so that's what I kind of want to see, if we can see a little bit more angle and distance. There's nothing here that's very dramatic. Like, I want to see a pretty good dramatic move away from the 8. Something that just really looks awful, and then no follow through and a bounce. That's something I can scale into and get a little bit heavier. We don't have any of that just yet. But this is what I'm thinking now as Bitcoin comes into the end of the year. People are going to be excited, hoping that some rally starts in January. I kind of doubt it will happen. But just from a pure time perspective, a 13 count is something that you need to pay attention to. And then I've already shown that the waves are kind of coinciding with January also. So Cardano, this is the first name I want to start accumulating. This is going to take weeks and months. This is a wealth play. This isn't like, oh, hey, I watched a video 3 weeks from now. You're like, well, that was a terrible buy. It's down 50%. No. I want to buy, and I want it to go lower from here. I want to see, I don't want to buy one lot and then have it go to the races and only have one lot on. I want to actually, I'm planning and hoping that this even comes even more in. Again, we're short. I'm still short the market overall with futures, so I want this to come back and come lower. This is going to be a patient play. And then what we'll look for is the signs that the market stops making lower lows, starts to make higher highs, and there'll be these footprints of money, the bigger candles and the bigger accumulation coming in, and then we'll start to pick up on what I call the right-hand side of the cycle. And then we'll just let the market tell us, what is. I'm trying to make predictions about the second half of 2019 is just useless. All right, so hopefully that helps, guys. Enjoy your weekend. I don't have a whole lot to do in alts, but this is something I want to kind of focus on this weekend. Maybe we talk about it in the next week, and we will start to trade this around more between here at 2 cents and